The public, please come forward who would like to speak on this item.
Good evening, Council. Barry Levinson again. I have a few questions, a few comments and questions about looking over the very lengthy contract that you have before you. I looked at the CPA report from the CPA firm of LSL. It says the increase in in this proposal shows the city paying 40% of the expected increase for both 2015-16 and 2016-17. Then I turned a couple other pages in the same in your document for the contract information. It says the contract states that the city pays 50% of the premium increase, not 40%. So I'd like to know, after I'm finished, which one is correct. Another comment. In a recently signed 4-year police agreement, and it was a 4-year agreement, not 2 years like this one is, no increase in medical premiums were shown over a 4-year contract. Many people, including myself, said that's impossible. But we were told that was the best information you had, and you were going with it. Now, approximately 1 or 2 months later, the fire contract has medical premiums going up 8% and 9% respectively over the next 2 years. What changed so drastically in 1 month? I'd like an answer to that one when I'm finished as well. A base salary raise, as you said, 5% for 15-16, 4% for 16-17. Considering there's 1% inflation, that's pretty high. The 2-year total increase is not 1.960, but it is 2.360 because when you raise pay, you raise the amount of pension you get because it's a percentage, and that's why that's what that $400,000. It's an additional benefit. Your pension does not remain the same when your base pay goes up. Your pension goes up. So for Gretchen to make that comment, again, I find that from a financial or accounting standpoint to be not worthy, ludicrous. I also would like to say that I remember this council, I think Mayor Fitzgerald talked about it, and I think some others did as well, how important it was to have the 4-year contract for police because it gives stability to the city as far as what they know they're going to pay. When people said that, so when people like myself said that, we thought that was a long time to lock in a contract. Now right here, all of a sudden it's 2 years, and I didn't hear a whimper about the fact that 2 years is too short. So I'm confused. For the police, 4 years was a great deal, and for fire, I guess 2 years is a great deal. I guess every deal is a great deal. Okay. And then I'd like to say that you got $2.4 million almost in increases for the fire department. Now you're going to, next month or whenever the Hunt Branch Library comes up for funding, are you going to tell the little kids in the southwest part of Fullerton you got to close out their library because you don't have enough funds to finance it, but you got millions of dollars to pay increases to police, you have millions of dollars to pay increases for fire, and you have obviously a lot additional dollars for the rest of the employees. I hope you don't tell that to the children because it sends a terrible message of what you place as being important. And finally, I noticed on the little PowerPoint there that Gretchen made the point that the fire are now paying 9% or 9.5%. But what she didn't put up there is what the taxpayers are paying starting in this year of a contract. They're paying a little over 45% of the base pay. So if they paid $100,000, that means an additional $45,000. that us taxpayers pay for their pension. And guess what? In the following year, it goes up to just under 50%. Those are huge numbers. And none of you addressed any of them that I heard. Maybe the last time you did, but certainly not tonight. I think these are all things that just seem a little out of kilter, especially when you're $2.8 million in debt and you don't have the funds to pay for these raises. And you're not going to get them as long as I'm here and try. You're not going to get it from College Town, you're not going to get it from the DCSP, and you're not going to get it from selling the Hunt Branch Library. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments on this?
Thank you. Joe Imbriano, Fullerton resident, candidate for Fullerton City Council. $1 million a year in overtime for the fire department. That's the number. You know, the plan with the Hunt Library was supposed to go down as follows. It was supposed to get passed through to dispose of city property and make it over here and unload the thing, maybe make a sweetheart deal with the church, buy some political influence, and forget the reality of what we're dealing with as a city, and that's a financial cliff. I mean, come on, 2% retirement for years. That's what they're paying to get all this money none of this is sustainable. And I think most of you, if not all of you, are here because you don't want to cross the line and go after these guys. Well, I left this meeting at the last council meeting. I walked through the parking lot, and I heard them out there laughing about how we're going to get our raises. It's not a joke. I mean, the roads are all busted up. I'm sick and tired of taking my BMW to the mechanic and having to change a control rod or a strut rod bushing. It's getting ridiculous. I really don't understand why you're here. I mean, is it self-aggrandizement or is it to serve the community? We don't have the money to hand out raises to these people. They do their job. They signed up for it. They get to stay at the station all day. I'm not knocking the occupation. Sometimes they put their lives on the line, but the majority of the time they're driving around a couple $1 million machine trying to justify their existence. And like I said, I'm not taking away from them what their functions are. But you need to look at the overtime scam is what I believe it is. We also need to look at hiring some more firemen and taking away this overtime, because you want to know something? There's 1,000 people that would love to have that job and put their kids through college and buy a house and have a dream of some job security, but you got a situation here that's untenable because people are clutching things as tight as they can, and they got you all by the necks. And I don't see anybody stepping out against this. The roads are a mess. The parks are a mess. The library's on the auction block. Nice try. I don't care if that library, by the way, I don't care if the foundation in this has taken the city off the hook in terms of its disposition. Let's look at ethics and morality here. Let's look at what something was dedicated to do. We are plugging gigantic holes the holes are about to get a heck of a lot bigger because we try to ram stuff through in this town behind everybody's back. Like these huge developments are going to be this one-time windfall to plug these holes. Ladies and gentlemen, the city employees, the majority of them don't live in this city. The residents do. You're here to represent them. You're here to represent their interests. And public safety is not the only thing that matters in this town. Let me rephrase that. The public safety employees are not the only thing that matters in this town. And I've said in the past, cities have a duty to provide services, but they don't necessarily have to be provided by the city. I could tell you in a nutshell that if this city continues on this course, and I don't care if everybody is jumping off the Brooklyn Bridge, that doesn't mean we do it too. If we continue on this path with these out-of-control pension obligations, with this baloney accounting where medical costs are stable for 5 years for the cops, but they go up for the firemen, where we have to have a 4-year contract for the police, but the firemen are okay with 2. I mean, there's all kinds of gerrymandering going on here, and it's unbelievable how none of you, maybe with a few exceptions, are really dealing with the problems. Problems here are very simple. The unions own all of you, and if they don't, I'd like to hear from you tonight, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about what you plan on doing, because I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not going to let these development schemes go through. They're going to double our population and leave us with these third world roads and with this decaying infrastructure and with this debt. Mr. Whitaker continues to vote correctly on these budgetary issues. Mr. Seaborn, I think you need to pull your bootstraps up and get on board with him some of the times. And Ms. Floor, you're up for re-election. Ms. Fitzgerald, Maybe you both need to be removed because your fiscal responsibility leaves a lot to be desired. And I'd like to point out that Ms. Fitzgerald has yet to disclose her voting record. She also has yet to, well, I'll hold that one for the next meeting. But I will say this in closing. I moved here and I put roots down very deep about 17 years ago, and I'm not moving. And I'm going to stay here until things get fixed. I don't need to take my children to the park to have the drinking fountain not work. And the roads have potholes everywhere I go to where my children can't ride their skateboards on the sidewalks because they're in total disrepair. But I see these brand new fire trucks, and I see the brand new police cars, and I see these brand new city trucks, and I see everybody scratching their heads, and nobody wants to stand up and tell the truth because they're afraid no one's going to vote for them if they go against the police or the fire department. Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, I'm that option. Joe Imbriano for City Council. Thank you.
Are there any other public speakers on this item?